Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the AEW Modcast review of, oh my goodness, 4 goddamn hours of content all in one block for you today because we are reviewing the AEW Super Mega Telecast of Fyter Fest that occurred this year. I am joined, as I always am, by Dory. Shout out to her on engaging in this odyssey of wrestling. Please introduce yourself, Dory. We've got so much to talk about.
Yeah, so we thought we would talk about Fyter Fest. We've got 4 hours to do it, but I was thinking, Adam, let's only
God.
spend 13 minutes talking about it. I think that's a really good idea,
God.
and I don't see anything wrong with that disparity in time versus the other. But yeah, this was a really great show. I'm excited to talk about it. We're going to talk about the elephant in the room first off, but
Yeah.
otherwise, really great show and lots of good matches that really excited me watching it on a 4 hour block. My God, I was begging for it to be over by 12 o'clock. I'm like, Adam Cole, please hit that boom. And when he got that cover, I was like, I swear to God, if anyone breaks this up, I'm going to lose my cool. So thankfully it didn't happen.
I will confess right off the bat, I have not had the chance to go back and watch the main event of the whole thing. I've been busy today, and last night we got to the announcement, the Tony Khan huge announcement,
Yes.
which I'd stayed up for,
Right.
and after
Which
that
were
happened,
women's tag titles, right, Adam? Which were women's tag
uh,
titles?
um, um, uh,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Mhm.
but yeah, I got to that point, and after that announcement, I just absolutely crashed. I was like, I said to myself, I'm going to watch this tomorrow, and then tomorrow came, and I was just like, I have far too much fucking shit to be getting on with today. So
Yeah.
I will defer to you greatly when we get to that.
Respectfully, you did not miss a lot. I mean, it wasn't bad or anything, but it just felt
Yeah,
like even Tony knew the most sickos of sickos were either gone or getting tired. So, but we'll
yeah,
talk about it. It was
I've
still a
heard.
good match, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like you say, that is very far in the future.
yes,
The world might have blown up by the time we get to that fucking Paragon match, but
for sure.
we will talk about we will do that wonderful thing that podcasts always do, where we will talk 90% about how great the show it was, and yet we will lead with the negative.
That's right.
Because that Legential money came in, and I gotta be honest, I'm looking for a new hot tub. So let's talk about the negative in the room.
I'm hoping my hot tub has a time machine in it.
Yeah, so I can go back and tell Tony Khan to book Willow Nightingale so we can cut this fucking discourse off at the pass.
Hey,
So yeah, in case anybody didn't see, if you've been living under a rock lately, to quote racist, um, sorry, I had to. But yeah, this show, as Dory alluded to, was 4 hours long, and the women got 13 minutes of it in the ring. Do you wanna talk about it?
yeah. So I'm gonna say first, I've always been critical of Tony's booking of the women, and honestly, I'm critical of just about any booking of the women. I mean, let's be real. Saturday night's main event, I didn't watch it, but 5 minutes of women's wrestling
Hmm,
compared to I think the hour and a half of men's or hour and 25 of men's. So it's not just an AEW problem.
no.
So that should be clear first. And maybe TNA books more women per show, but they're also booking Tessa Blanchard, so it kind of cancels out. The only place I'm
Yes,
aware
as
of,
far
what's that?
I was just gonna say, as far as I'm aware, none of the women that AEW booked on this show are active racists. So point for that.
Right. And also, the only show left I can think of besides NXT that books women about as much as men, if not more, is ROH. And I don't really watch NXT or ROH.
But
So,
even NXT this week, even on Tuesday, I'm fairly sure the women only got like 3 or 4 minutes of in ring time, which is quite shocking for NXT.
I mean, they are moving a lot of them up to the main roster, so I guess I'm not super surprised. I mean, I think somebody new debuted. I don't really know her, but they're trying to make up for it. But yeah.
The nameless
All of
one.
this is to say, look, this is a general problem. This is not just a Tony Khan problem. This is not just an AEW problem, but it is a Tony Khan problem and an AEW problem. It has been for years and years. You can go all the way back to 2019. Honestly, we have progressed since then. We now get, and I know this is a low bar, double the women's matches we used to get on a regular basis now. And sometimes, if we're really good fans, we even get 3 matches, hint, hint, next week, hint, hint. So it's a frustrating scenario, and I'm never going to say, "Oh, don't call out the poor old billionaire," because that's not the life I'm about. And the women can always be booked better and should be booked better. But at
Yes,
this point,
absolutely.
I think if people were expecting Tekla to have a real match, number one, and number two, expecting more than 2 women's matches, I really do think you're setting yourself up for disappointment at this point in AEW's history. Whatever you want to say about TK and his booking, he just doesn't value the women as much as he values the men. And I'm not calling him a sexist. I'm not saying like, oh, AEW is in the mud or whatever, although of course it is. It always is. But
Of course.
it's just a general unconscious bias at this point on the behalf of most. I mean, even my favorite indies. I love Prestige Wrestling. I love DPW. I really like what I've seen from West Coast Pro. Pretty sure all those places only have 1, maybe 2 women's matches per big event. And I've seen that in DPW and Prestige. So,
Yeah.
and those are like some
Same
of the
as
best
same as
American,
Rev
North American.
Pro. Same as
Yeah,
Rev Pro, I've been to a few Rev Pro shows. I think there was 1 women's match on the first Rev Pro show I went to. There were 2 at the Copper Box last year. I
yeah,
guess there'll probably be 2 in where is it, Crystal Palace this year? I mean, one will probably
right.
be a Mercedes Moné match, but still.
Sure.
My local indie will only ever put on 1 women's match. It's a
Yeah,
trend in Western wrestling that has been ongoing for decades now. And like you
yeah.
say, it's probably only an unconscious bias thing with Tony. I don't ascribe any malice to,
Right.
I don't think he sat there thinking, "Oh, these bitches, I have to put them on there because of woke." And
That's
but
right.
I don't think he's thinking that. I think someone brought up that he is a child of ECW, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Where else was it? I guess sort of WCW and such. ROH back in the day. None of which put on women's match. I mean, New Japan and ROH didn't put on women's matches at all for most of their existence. It's
Right.
only in the past sort of 4 years or so that New
And
Japan
even
has
then, women
started
are
to.
lucky to have 1 match, if even 2 on any NJPW show. Although the
Yeah,
situation there is different because there are literally all female promotions like Stardom and Ice Ribbon and TJPW and so forth. And I'm sure
yeah,
there's some other with some guy who wears a hat. And generally speaking, there's just lots of opportunities for women. So, I'm not as negative on NJPW doing that, but it still kind of stands out. And the women always show out. Like they always get like 10 minutes because Ghetto can't possibly imagine the women getting more. I know that's a
yeah.
brash generalization that he's given them more than that, but generally speaking, that's something I've noticed. And yeah, it's. But anyway, my point is, this is a general worldwide Western issue in wrestling. It's even an issue in Japan to some extent. So like, it's not unique to Tony. It's not unique to AEW. I know it sucks, but I do think the matches we got, the segments we got, and all of the character work that we got was great. It's just that we needed more wrestling. I really feel like you could have gotten rid of
Yes.
1 or 2, let's be honest, probably 2 of, and I love the Don Callis family, and I love the Paragon, the Paradon, the Papadon, and but you could have gotten rid of at least 1 of those matches, if not 2, to give me a Mercedes banger. I don't know with who. I looked on the roster. I don't fucking know. Give her a rematch with Emi Sakura. Why not? Right? So,
Yeah. Give me a
but like,
match
so
with, like, I don't know, Megan Bain. That'd be great.
right. So I mean, this
Yeah.
isn't rocket surgery, right? It's not hard to figure out what you could take out of the show. And I think anybody who's like, well, you'd have to take someone out. Bench, take out the Don Callis family. At least one of those matches. We didn't need both halves on one show. But anyway,
No.
and I say that as a big fan of the Don Callis family. So
And
anyway,
also,
that's the whole thing with the women.
And also, just to say, I'm going to call out a specific kind of wrestling fan, a very terminally online wrestling fan, if I may. There are a bunch of people who have been seeing the announcements for Summer Blockbuster. Spoilers, there's, I think, at the moment, 3 women's matches being announced, and all of them look like they will be competitive. Like, you're not going to get a Tekla-style 2-minute squash match on there. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, look, bullying works. We bully Tony Khan again, because he listens to us when we scream at him or whatever." Fuck off with that. Because all of the women's matches that have been announced for next week were set up on this show, and he is not reacting in real time to you. So stop inflating your own sense of self-importance. Nobody's fucking listening to you. I'm not gonna say that having 2 women's matches on the show is good. It's not. I've been very clear on that before, that the women need to be put better. But if you're sat there thinking to yourself, well, the only reason the women's division is getting better is because me and my friends said to Tony Khan that you need to do better and he listened to us, fuck off. You have absolutely no power. You are a fan, and yes, Tony Khan listens to the fans more than other wrestling companies, but he's not sat there thinking, well, I need to placate the 10 weirdos who keep screaming in my mentions to book, 4, 5 women's matches all the time. Because, first of all, he's not going to do that, and second of all, like I said, every women's match that's been announced for next week was set up on this show. We will talk about it. So, yeah, I just wanted to get that rant off my chest. Stop being such egotistical marks and just watch the goddamn show. I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, just consume the product. By all means, criticize, but don't then turn around and be like, oh, wow, the only reason this is happening is because of me. Fuck off. Just. I have no other words. Just fuck off. Fuck off out of my mentions. Fuck off out of my feed. Fuck off out of my general wrestling ennui. You are not needed. You are not wanted. Go away. And
I
with
can't
that,
believe Tony Khan's going to keep ignoring me about that GCW AEW Super Show I keep telling him about.
Oh my god, please no.
I was like, what's the worst thing I can say to Adam in this context? I'm like, there we go, that'll do it.
I beg of you, please.
All right.
But yeah,
Anyway, let's start off with the show.
yes, absolutely. Let's start off with this show. And we started off, um, we had sort of a rundown of the show. As you always do, we get some 41 starting off the show. Always happy to hear that. And Tony Schiavone is in the ring, as he has tended to be for the last few weeks. Sort of this overarching Hangman Ospreay Swerve thing has been starting off Dynamite most weeks for the past sort of month or so, and this streak was continued tonight as he calls down Will Ospreay to the ring. They played back a confrontation between Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland on the big screen. Eventually, it did take them like a good 5 seconds to get the video up, and I was like, "Oh no, has something happened with the video feed?" Did you notice that?
I did notice that. I was starting to have a lot. I get secondhand embarrassment really easily. So
Yeah,
after a
me
couple
too.
of seconds, the
Me too.
video didn't load. I was like, "Oh no!"
Oh no.
But
Oh
then it did load, and I was like, "Oh, thank God!"
yeah, I think if it had been like 1 or 2 more seconds, I would have been absolutely cringing into my hands. But as it was, they just about salvaged it. Um, but yeah, Will said, I don't want to be like, oh well, he just said the same thing as he did last week, but it was broadly the same strokes. Will said that Swerve has been his best friend um for how long is it? 12 years, I think. It's like
Yeah, 12 years.
the enemy is John Moxley. The enemy is not us. We need to put aside our differences, and blah 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 blah. Um, he did say something that I knew as soon as he said it would be seized upon online, which is
Oh boy.
yeah. He said like people like myself, Hangman, Swerve. He shout out Tony Storm as well. Have been giving AEW momentum. That's why AEW was on fire. And I know what he was going for when he said this, but he said the only reason it sucks right now is because you're the champion. I know what he was going for. I know he was trying to say the only way in which it's bad is because you're on top. Like that would have been fine. But never ever give the fucking the tribalists an opportunity to point at them and go, ah, they said they even said they suck themselves. Never say that your product sucks on television. I know it was a misquote. I know it was a misspeak, but Jesus Christ, Will.
Yeah, sorry, I unmuted myself and then it didn't click. Yeah, I also understand what Will was going for, but as soon as he said it, I was like, oh, that is going to be seized upon by the worst people. And
Yeah.
uh, honestly, I don't know. I kind of think like this is another like how do I say this? Kind of like an autistic moment. And I'm saying that as an autistic person. Like it just feels like he wanted to say something in a very specific way, but didn't really grasp, I think, the social ramifications of saying it like how he did. And I
Yeah.
don't know. I've had that happen to me. That happens to everybody really, but it's more prone to
Yeah.
happen to people who are autistic. Uh, it was an unfortunate little flub, but it didn't drain anything away. I just got like a little thing in the pit of my stomach for a split second, where I was
Yeah.
like, oh boy, like someone's gonna say something about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a tiny blip. It doesn't really matter, but like we said, as soon as it happened, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's fine. He recovered. He said that Swerve. I've given Hangman my word that that I will look after him and go. Be in his corner for the World Championship match. And if I can't remember exactly what he said, but Swerve would stop Hangman from winning the title and such. But if I have to be the one to stop you, then I will. And called him out for a fight. Next week, I'm in fucking Malta. I cannot believe that I'm missing Swerve versus Ospreay 2 live. Oh, I'm so fucking mad.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, that's a shame. I'm going on holiday for a week. But
Yeah,
it did sort
I'm
of,
very hyped for that. I'm very hyped for that. Their first match was incredible. It was at, I believe, Forbidden Door last year, and that was
yeah.
amazing. And I don't know how much time they'll get
I
this
just
round.
I just realized that I missed that one live as well. I was on holiday for that one as well.
Oh my god. So at
For
least you're
fuck's sake.
consistent.
Yeah, I've never seen a Swerve Osprey match sort of live as it's happening. Oh well. At least I'm continuing the streak. But this
Yep.
announcement did sort of get lost because basically the second after he announced it, the, and it was at this moment I did crash out a tiny bit because for some fucking god awful no god knows reason, the crew came out. The fucking sea mines came out. And there was a moment where I was like, what the actual fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, this
Because
really felt like it felt unnecessary. I really could have just had like Leo say something about how he wants to, climb up the rankings, or he wants to take out Osprey
one of
because like
those.
Osprey thinks he's the fastest. Like you could have set this up in a lot more of a straightforward way,
Yeah.
and it just. I mean, he even said that you're out here doing a lot of yapping. I'm like, bro, you're yapping. Like, you're
Yeah.
talking right now. Why don't you just go out there and beat the shit out of him and set up a match? Like, that's all that really need. And I like Leo Rush, and I even like Action Andretti, Mr. Hydretti himself. But
Yeah.
I didn't need this. I didn't want this. I
It
loved
was
the match that which we'll talk about later was great, but the
it
setup
was,
for it
yes.
was not. I
I
didn't
think
need
it
the setup, and they could have simplified it a lot more.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of not to put people in their boxes. It's very much this is the main event, angle. This is the absolute pinnacle of your show, and you are interrupting it for I'm gonna be charitable and say a lower mid card act when really they're probably just an undercard, borderline jobber act, really, as they're being portrayed. So it's like, what are you doing here? You don't, not to say you don't belong here, but it is very much you are in the wrong part of the card, my friend. Please,
Right.
please go back to hour three.
I would have
Or like,
just rather I would have rather Osprey just get attacked from behind by the crew, and Leo maybe explain his actions through a backstage promo later on, and then that sets up the match when Ospreay like confronts him and security have to separate them, and then we get the
I
match
wouldn't
on
have
Collision. Like boom, done.
I wouldn't have minded if it was like a sort of a backstage segment after the fact. Like you have the segment of like, oh
Right.
well, you're calling out Swerve for a fight next week, blah 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 blah. And then it goes backstage, and Renee Paquette tries to get Will Ospreay's thoughts on the matter, and then the crew interrupt and say, "Look, you've been doing a lot of yapping, but I've got some blah blah." The
Right.
promo that they did.
So there
I
was
think was
basically there were a lot of other ways to do this, and this was not the
yeah,
way. But again, the match ended up being good, and we went into a pretty good match following, so it's fine.
yeah, exactly. And speaking of a very good match following, we got the Mark Briscoe promo after that, where he called John
Oh,
Moxley out
I'm
for a
gonna
fight.
say I love Will Ospreay saying that he's gonna get into his crime fighting pants. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Yes, yes, very true. We love Will, and also much better haircut as he
Yes,
promised.
good job. Good job to Alex for putting Will on the straight and
Yeah,
narrow.
yes, thank you, Alex. We have been suffering. Um, but yes, this next match was very, very good. It was non-title, as far as I'm aware. Not that it made much difference to the finish. Um, but yeah, John Moxley versus Mark Briscoe. I was really, really looking forward to this because I feel like John Moxley has he's realized that the match style that he was going for against people like Cope at Revolution, in the four-way at World's End, even against Swerve, is getting him the wrong kind of heat. It was getting him
Right.
like, oh my god, why are we sitting through this interminable
Right.
fucking match? As
Yeah.
opposed to like, oh well, he's realised that actually there is a place for him to be a bastard heel that is dangerous and also put on good matches.
Yeah.
So,
he's getting the kind of heat I would call Adam frat house heat. So that's the kind of heat
eh,
I think he's getting.
isn't that go away heat?
Yeah, definitely. I will say it's one of the laziest things. People did this too when Jericho was really getting a lot of shit, and people were like, "Oh, well, he's annoying you, so therefore it's working." I'm like, "No, no, no. He's getting get the fuck off my TV heat. He's not getting,
Yeah,
oh, I'm enjoying this heat, right?" And
yeah.
so all heat is not good heat. It's like all publicity is not good publicity. So
Yes,
anyway,
absolutely. But I
yeah.
think Moxley is now getting the right kind of heat during his
Yes, this
matches.
was a much better match, I think, than some of the. I mean, I like those other matches at the time, but looking back, I can admit that like I think I overrated them a little bit. But like
Yeah,
I feel pretty confident that this was like a solid 3.75 star or something like that. Like it was a
yeah,
pretty good match. It was violent. It was very physical. There was a lot of color from Briscoe.
yeah.
The
He
just everything looked good. I mean, I love one of the little things in the match that I loved is when he went for the what did he go for? He went for the cutthroat driver. And I love this so
yes.
much. This is why Ian is so great on commentary. He's like, this is a move that Mark has only gone, I'm going to make up a number, but I think he said something like 8 times in his whole career. Think
I
about
think it was
that.
8 or
Think
9.
about how many
Yeah.
matches Mark fucking Briscoe has had in his life. He's been wrestling since he was what, too young to legally wrestle?
Mm.
He's wrestled a lot, and he's only pulled out that move less than 10 times, less than a handful of times. So that was crazy, and that was such a cool call by Ian. I mean, I know he didn't get it, he didn't hit it, but that made the move feel so impactful. Like, oh my god,
Yeah.
maybe if he hits this, like Mox
It
won't
made
kick
it
out.
it made it feel like it was Mark Briscoe's burning hammer, if you know
Yes,
what I mean? Where
yeah,
it was
yeah,
like, if he hits it, it's game over, you're dead. It's like his super mega finisher that he only breaks out when he absolutely has to end a match. And it gives it that, that aura, if you will.
absolutely,
Yeah, excellent stuff. Really good match. Competitive at times, but there was only ever one outcome. It ends with a bulldog choke because, of
right,
course, it does.
of
But
course,
but what I will say is it was a very well done bulldog choke because Mark Briscoe fights out of it a couple of times. It's a proper
yes.
sort of scramble. It made it bizarrely that made it feel a lot more dangerous. Where it was like, he is fighting with everything he can to get out of this because he knows if it gets
I
locked in, it's game over.
Yeah, and then somebody made a good point. It might have been you. I don't remember, but someone made the good point that they're really building up the bulldog choke at this point, and like almost nobody gets out of it, or if they
Yeah.
do and they get it locked in again, like they almost always tap out or pass out. So they're really building this up very well, and I predict if Hangman gets put in that bulldog choke, we are going to be screaming at that
Oh
TV,
my
like all
god,
of
yeah.
us. Yeah.
It
So
reminds me. I made this point to you like yesterday. It reminds me in a good way of when during the early sort of years of the Bloodline, Roman would use the guillotine choke,
right. Yes.
and that was very much built up, same as the Bulldog choke now,
Yes.
as being like this inescapable, mega finish. If it gets locked in, you will go out.
Yeah, and
You will pass
unironically,
it.
a very cool name for a decently cool move, I think, but that's neither here nor
Yes.
there. But yeah,
But yeah, like you say, Hangman is going to get put in that Bulldog choke, and we will all absolutely shit ourselves.
yes.
And then he will power out of it, and I will scream at my laptop, and then he will win.
Last thing I want to point out is that Moxley is the first person in AEW to kick out of the J Driller, I guess. I mean, according to AEW themselves. So I
Wow,
mean,
really?
that's fair. I don't remember anyone kicking out. If it would be anybody, it'd be like Eddie or something, right? But
Hmm,
I don't, or maybe Claudio, but in some kind of ROH World Title match. But other than that,
yeah.
I don't think anyone's ever kicked out. So Moxley's at least one of the first, if not the first.
Yeah, it's been pretty well protected, and
Yes.
even though Moxley kicked out, it was still quite well protected here because Mox took a while to get to the cover, if I recall correctly. It was very much a case of like Triple H and Booker T at WrestleMania 19, except obviously that time he got the win after a 20 fucking second break, and this time he kicked out. So yeah, really good stuff. Yeah, a really good match. I heard the dog bark. Is everything going okay?
Oh, she just gets upset that people decide to exist outside of our apartment, but everything's fine.
Yeah, same. I get the feeling. But yeah, after that there was a Mystico video package. Mystico is so I saw some people online that were like the general consensus is CMLL is that he's a little bit washed. But like even a washed wrestler in CMLL is like bonkers good compared to Western wrestling style. So it's like
Yeah, it's like
it's
saying
fine.
Tom Nakano is washed, like relative to the rest of Stardom. Like, okay. So what you're telling me
Yeah.
is like she's a 4.5 out of 5 instead of a 5 out of 5. Got it.
Yeah, she still laps like 90% of the. I genuinely cannot believe. Sorry to go off on a tangent. I know we have so much to talk about. I cannot believe that Tam Nakano retired. I genuinely thought that when it was like, the stipulation with Saya Kamitani, that it was going to be like, oh, she's going to leave Stardom and then she's going to, follow like Nina Shirakawa into the US or whatever. But no, she just fucking retired. Tam Nakano is retired and I don't know how to feel about it.
I know. Also surprising to me.
But yeah, that's. We should do a Stardom podcast at some point. Um,
Hell
but
yeah.
yeah,
I used to follow like Stardom like fucking religiously last year and a little bit of the year before, but it's Stardom so hard. If we ever did that, it would have to be pay-per-view orientated because their house shows are many and they are powerful. Like there are so
yeah,
many.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so then following that, we have the women's tag team match. Mercedes comes out. Just want to put over Mercedes. It was advertised that she'd be on commentary. She was not on commentary. She was simply presented with a steak dinner, and here you are. Here you are,
One of
madame.
the grossest steaks I've ever seen in my life.
Honestly, it looked like it was shoe leather. Um, and I don't mind a well
Now,
done
to be
steak
fair,
if it's
Adam, Tony
done
has
okay.
told us to watch for the shoe, so
That's very true. It's very true. Perhaps that was what they were going for. Um, I don't mind a well done steak. That looked fucking rough. But obviously,
I'm pretty
I get
gross. I like mine like medium rare or something like that. But
see.
yeah,
I get squeamish. Not. I don't necessarily get squeamish at the sight of blood. I get a little bit lightheaded if there's a lot of it. But eating
yeah,
blood, no, no, cannot do that.
fair
Even if
enough.
it's just like the juices that look like blood, no, can't do it. So I usually have it like medium to medium well. Hate me if you want. Um,
I will not. Well, at least not for that. For unrelated reasons, yes.
yeah. But yeah, this match was really good. I will continue to put over that Mina Shirakawa is an excellent wrestler, and that gets lost in her gimmick of being, a graphic model and stuff like that. But the fundamentals of her wrestling are spectacular. So yeah, Mina Shirakawa, probably the best woman, probably the best wrestler in this match, like pure wrestler. Obviously, Tony is the greatest character in wrestling right now, so you cannot compare the two. But yeah, this match was really good. We love both of these.
Yeah, this was a great match. I love Julia and Sky Blues tag team efforts here. Looked really good. I thought at one point they named them the Sisterhood of Evil. I don't know if that's just a moniker that the commentary gave them, or it's a team name like
That's a
Megabad.
that's a badass name if it's
I
like their name.
really hope they're using that. And usually, Adam, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. A sisterhood has more than just two members, so I'm just gonna put that out there.
That's very true. It's very true. I am intrigued. Um, absolutely Julia should still have her own proper faction. Obviously she's collected the Hounds and Sky Blue. You can add to that.
Yeah, I will talk about somebody later who I think may in the future be joining that faction, but it's all
Oh,
speculation and fantasy booking and stuff.
I see. Oh, that would be good.
Yes,
Because I
I think it
was
makes sense
genuinely,
given makes sense given one of the moves that Julia does almost every single match.
yeah, I was genuinely racking my brain like who would fit, and then yes, obviously, of course. But yes, after this, we're not even like we're like 40 minutes through into this
Oh boy.
4 hour thing. Um, yes, so after that we have MJF um, backstage with Will Ospreay. Um, a very good interaction, by the way,
Yes.
between Will and Lashley. Because I think MJF starts talking about Will's son, and then obviously Will gets very hot under the collar and starts going after MJF, and then the Hurt Syndicate show up like, "Hey, what's going on over here?" But yeah, Lashley and Ospreay just have like this wordless stare down, and that would be a match that I would be very interested to see.
Yeah, I need Shelton Benjamin versus Osprey injected into my veins for pretty much forever.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like, oh my god, why would you put that into my head? We have to talk about so much more, and now I just want to talk about Shelton versus Osprey. Oh
Sorry,
dear.
that's my fault, but it really occurred to me, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's a match you could see at some point," and I would absolutely adore it. And Shelton's still, you know, so good in the ring, so good. So
He
I think
really is.
Osprey would easily be able to get 4.5 star match out of him.
Yeah, there was a moment, not to go off on another tangent, we have so much to talk about, but there was a moment after Shelton had come in and before Bobby Lashley came in, where Shelton had like 3 singles matches on consecutive Dynamites. And I had the thought that, like, I know that they're going to do the Hurt Syndicate and Shelton and Bobby are going to be a tag team. What if they just didn't? What if Shelton was just like an excellent addition to like the upper mid card of the singles division and just
I
kept on
know.
having these bangers every week? But I get that there's money in the Hurt Syndicate and they have been good champs and whatever. But yeah,
I do like all
Shelton would
this
be the thing.
like I love all sorry to cut you off. I love all this like this relating to each other in terms of like, well, I beat them, but you couldn't beat them. Well, you couldn't beat me, and I could beat you, but and even though I couldn't beat that, like there's all this stuff going on that's really great. Like MJF has beaten Osprey, and Osprey has beaten MJF, and MJF has beaten Hangman, but MJF just beat him recently, or Hangman just beat MJF recently. I mean, and Swerve's beaten Hangman twice. It just goes on, and Hangman and Swerve's also beaten Osprey. So,
Yeah.
and of course, you add the mocks. I feel like I'm in that fucking Pepe Sylvia meme from goddamn It's Always Sunny right now. But I'm just saying, it's all goddamn connected, okay? This was really good. I love seeing MJF and Osprey on the same screen. Any of their matches last year were
I,
fucking gold.
I genuinely, when you said, and then you add the mocks, I genuinely thought you were going to say your chances of winning drastic go down.
you
Uh,
know, actually, I'm so glad you mentioned that because MJF at one point towards the beginning was kind of making, I know he's done it
yeah,
explicitly
yeah,
before,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
kind of was making a signer reference. Like his chances of winning the world title would drastically go up, and to make matters worse, if you actually get them to get along well, then Cowboys the shoe win, da 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 da. So I feel like that was a little bit of signer math.
Yeah, it definitely was Steiner coded, shall we say. But yeah, excellent. a really tantalizing prospect.
Yes,
But yeah, then the Hurt Syndicate came out. They hurt people. Uh,
they sure
Dory.
do. This was
And
a decently long promo, but I struggle to say that a lot happened. I not
yeah,
that I didn't like it, but
what I will say just briefly,
yeah,
yeah, not a lot happened. MJF talked a lot about nobody could beat us. There's no one capable of beating us. You know, we're the greatest tag team, whatever. It does make you think like when they were like nobody could beat us. We want the best tag team. Blah 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 blah. There were like two names that popped into my head, and I was like, oh, are they teasing either the Bucks or FTR? Because those are that I know that it's been what like 5 years since that program. They're still the pinnacle of the tag division. Pinnacle,
yeah.
pun intended.
Uh,
Um, but there's still like if you wanted me to name like the top three tag teams in the world today, it's gonna be Bucks, FTR, well, probably Fraxium. I don't know. But certainly Bucks and FTR. So like yeah, those are the two. But as it turns out, I think they're teasing another tag team that I'm certainly not mad about because briefly after MJF said he's going to be fighting Mystico, by the way, at Grand Slam. Should be a
it's
very
going to
good
be
match.
amazing.
Should be a very, very good
I'm very
match.
excited for MJF's usual "oh shit, oh fuck" spots when Mystico just does the craziest shit.
Yeah, it's going to be a very good match. And it's the
Mystico's
sort
like
of
gonna do like fucking 5 handstands and then a corkscrew somersault, and MJF is gonna just be standing there like, what the fuck, and it's just gonna get hit.
yeah. And I feel like MJF is the sort of caliber of talent just below your Hangmans and your Omegas and stuff that you could put him against Mystico, like the face of CMLL, and he can lose. I feel like he probably will lose that match at Arena Mexico. And yeah, it's the sort of match that will not hurt him, especially since he's beaten Hechicero before, as you know, you were there.
Yes, I was there. Great match, underrated match.
But yeah, just briefly after that, we said like they're teasing another tag team because Speedball Commander and Kevin Knight came out for ostensibly for their trios match, but also, very much to sort of signal to everyone this is the direction that the tag division is going. For at least the next couple of weeks because Kevin Knight is back from the Best of the Super Juniors.
Right.
They keep calling them Jet Speed. I'm not having it. It's Jet Ball.
Absolutely. It's Jet Ball. Yeah, I'm really excited for Jet Ball to fight them, and they're one of the best tag teams in the division, kind of because there's not much of a division right now.
Yeah,
So, honestly, at this point,
but not only that, they are
yeah,
two excellent wrestlers that really
right,
do gel well together.
absolutely. And I think some of us were definitely talking about whether Kevin Knight was going to join the Hurt Syndicate at first, and so I think you could make some interesting kind of tension there with Montel kind of giving Kevin Knight like a look see and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
I liked that all three of them, Commander and Speedball and of course Kevin, all use different languages to basically call them out. I thought that was really neat.
yeah, as do I. And MVP basically said, if you want a tag title shot, then you have a match tonight. Go out there and impress us. Um, what was I going to say? Yeah, LFI then came out as the Hurt Syndicate were leaving, eyed them up. Roosh, I have to imagine. I don't necessarily think that he was cleared to do this, but he was very much eyeing Bobby Lashley again in his face. Because Roosh does what he wants. He shoots
I
his own
need that
angles.
match, Adam. I need that match.
See, the thing is, Roosh is one of those wrestlers that's quite rare in wrestling nowadays, where it's like, I genuinely have no idea what he's going to do next. And like not in a sort of match way of like, oh well, he could pull out any sort of move ever. No, I just don't know whether he's going to start turning to the camera and shooting on someone, or whether he's legitimately going to start smashing someone's face in. Like he's such a legitimately dangerous, unhinged man that like you could do. You just have no fucking clue what he's gonna do next, and it's brilliant. He adds that genuine sort of tension to the product that I don't know. I really love it. I really love it.
Yeah, I do as well. It reminds me of another former AEW star who will not be named here. And Rush has some of those same
Mm.
traits, except maybe a little better under control. So yeah, big
Mm.
fan of Rush. Love rushing around at the speed of sound. And this match, man, this match rooshed around at the speed of sound. LFI versus Commander, Speedball, and Kevin Knight. Oh, I think this was one of my
This
matches of
match.
the night, honestly.
It's probably my second best match of the night. We'll talk about the best match of the night in a little bit. But yeah, this was excellent. Kevin Knight, I think, is a genuinely potential generational talent. The man can do absolutely anything in that ring, and AEW have done a fantastic job of giving him a sustained push on television and a sustained sort of regimen of matches as well. Let's not forget that this man was going to be doing arm drags in the performance center, and he's been going out there basically every Dynamite. When he's not off wrestling, I think it was 12 times in 25 days in the Best of the Super Juniors. So like, the man is putting the reps in, and if he continues to do so, the sky is the limit for him. Especially
Honestly,
pairing him
think
with
that dude is going to
someone
break the stratosphere at this point.
Yeah, especially pairing him with someone as genuinely spectacular and superb as Speedball Mike Bailey. I will go on record as saying this. I hope you're ready for a hot take. Speedball is top 10 best wrestler in the world right now. I don't know whether that's a controversial take,
I
but
I don't know. I would say he's one of my favorites, but also I'm biased because
he's
the whole
he's an ed- yeah.
non-binary connection. But yeah, he's not into berries, and neither am I. No, the non-binary connection, and I'm just so happy to see someone who's non-binary be represented. On TV, and so I mean I'm a little biased,
I, I
but
do
but
I
I
do
I
love
do love. He's one of my favorites.
he is one. I do love the law, by the way, that apparently you can only have one non-binary wrestler on the roster at any one time. Um,
Yeah, it seems to be.
because his his aura is just too powerful. He radiates too much NB energy. It just pushed Abaddon off the roster.
Yeah, yeah. I Abaddon got released recently, not released, but like contract expired. There's a big difference, by the way, between people who can't read, and
Hmm.
yeah, wish Abaddon the best. Big ups to them, and huge supporter of them. But I think AEW has unfortunately moved past them and others from that AEW
Yeah,
dark era. So, but
yeah, I
anyway,
agree.
this
Wish
was
them
a
the best.
really great match. This was uh I don't know. Honestly, I was like, this is like pay-per-view level match almost. I think there was one other
It
match
really
I was
was.
there. Yeah.
It really was. I mean, we've put over Speedball. We put over Kevin Knight. We put over Roosh. Mortos is always amazing.
Yes.
Give Beast Mortos the world. He's a
What do you
phenomenal
think about
wrestler.
that what do you think about that new mask that he's got?
It's a difficult one. I adored his previous mask.
Yeah.
I think I need a couple of weeks to get used to it. I
Yeah, I
I
agree.
don't think it's bad by any means. But I do think the black and red just gave him that sort of real real sort of dark energy, dark aura about him. So yeah, I need to warm up to it, I think. Um but at the moment, if you ask me, I would say I prefer the black and red. But it's
Yeah,
fine
I
because
still prefer the other one, but I don't think this one's bad. I think it's very distinctive.
no, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Jolistico is also there. But I want to talk about Commander because
Yes.
he's such a phenomenal wrestler. I cannot believe if you'd have asked me this sort of like 18 months ago, every now and then you would get a Commander match and you'd be like, oh, okay, fine. Fucking fine. I guess we gotta fill out minutes on like Collision or Rampage or something. But, there are so many better wrestlers. And now, like, in the space of 12 to 18 months, he's gone from that sort of, oh, Commander, to, oh my god, it's a Commander match, let's fucking go. Because this man is such a. He does things that I have never seen anyone do. And I've watched quite a bit of Lucha Libre, especially recently in preparation for Arena Mexico. He still does things that I cannot believe are possible. I'm still pushing for him and Commander to possibly get the tag title sometime soon. With his amazing team. Go on, Dory.
Los Titanes del Aire.
I mean, that's the best that you've done so far. It's still not
All
very good.
right. I'm never gonna live
But
down
yes,
that fucking quote I gave. I think it was last week or the week before about Tessa Blanchard. Man, I'm never gonna live that down.
Yeah, I know. I will never let
Jesus
you live that
Christ.
down.
Anyway,
Yes,
swiftly moving
yes,
on. This match fucking ruled. I actually
it
had to
really
take my
did.
dog out through at the beginning, like 5 minutes, but then remembered I did actually have the Max app, so I was good. But yeah, I mean, this match was incredible. I do want to talk about a couple of the spots. It started off basically with everybody battling outside the ring until it came back into the ring. There were, of course, a lot of great conhilos and tope suicidas, and Kevin Knight's just frog splash. The way he lands is just
I
incredible.
don't know how he
Rush's
does it.
fake out kick that he does in the corner always gets
I
me.
love that.
Always,
I love that every single
yes,
time.
yes,
Every single time.
it's so
And like
good.
as soon as he stops, I know what he's doing. But until he stops, I'm like, oh, he's gonna hit that, drop kick as
Yes,
he does.
I feel like fucking Charlie Brown every time he does it. I'm like, oh, he's gonna hit him, and then he stops it. I'm like, you bastard! I
Yeah.
always forget you do that.
He's a brilliant wrestler. He's
It's so
so
good.
phenomenally good. I tell you what, we said like Jalistico was also there. That's very disrespectful to Jalistico. He just happens to be in the ring with like 5 phenomenal wrestlers.
Yes,
Um, but he hit the most memorable spot of the night for me, which is he does this top rope springboard, I guess
Canadian
crucifix bomb.
Destroyer. It was
It's
crazy.
like it's a crucifix bomb because he sort of flips
Yeah,
around and drives them properly head first into the mat. I think he hit on Kevin Knight, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, he makes it look like absolutely lethal. Yeah, shout out to him. Spot of the night for me, or at least spot of the
yeah,
match.
yeah.
But yeah,
Incredible stuff.
that excellent match. Kevin Knight gets the pin. I think is very telling of how AEW sees him. So yeah,
Yeah,
excellent,
I
excellent
completely
business.
agree. I loved that Kevin got the pin, and after the match, actually, MVP ended up telling the Hurt Syndicate to get involved, and I couldn't believe this, but Knight, Bailey, and Commander basically all just completely like negated their not interference because the match was over, but you know what I mean, the post-match beatdown. I figured the Hurt Syndicate were going to completely cream them, but they
Yeah.
did not.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, that then set up. I think there's a match. Is it next week?
Yes, I believe it's all three of them versus Lashley, Shelton, and MJF
Could
at
be a
Summer Blockbuster. And I think if they win that, they get a tag title shot. That seemed to be the implication lying underneath. But I no one explicitly said that. I'm just reading between the lines. I presume that Shelton gets pinned by somebody, but I could be wrong. And I mean, if they're going to do it in Arena Mexico, you'd have to think that Commander's going to be in there, but I don't know.
well, unless that's just your all in match. I would
Right.
not be mad in the slightest if that's your all in match. Because I feel like that would be probably Hurt Syndicate's best title defense of their reign, which
Comfortably.
you know,
Yeah.
which
I mean, I feel like it's been a solid enough reign, but they haven't had anyone to really show out against, and I think
well,
this would
it
be one of
comes
them.
to something. It comes to something, Dory, when your best title defense of like a 6 month reign is against Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes. Like,
Yeah, no comment.
tell me when I'm telling lies. That's all I'm saying. Um, but yeah, after the match and after the brawl, they set up the Paragon and Daniel Garcia match that main evented the whole 4 hour thing later on. Just gonna skirt past that. The patriarchy, um, we're
I
backstage.
do want to say one thing. I know it's not lighting the world on fire. I do want to say one thing that caught me that I noticed about Danny is where he's like, yeah, sure, we've got respect or something like that. Like, I don't know, that sounded a little tweenerish, a little heely to me. I could be wrong. I could be looking into things too much. Still hoping
Hmm.
that Danny goes with FTR eventually and they form a cool trio. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
I agree. I think that the money is with Danny as like this really badass. I am a brilliant wrestler, and I can, absolutely kill you with holds. But yes. After that, the patriarchy were backstage. Nick Wayne is back after the Best of the Super Juniors, same as Kevin Knight. Um, Christian's like, I know you wrestled 12 times in 25 days, but no excuses. You will defend your title tonight. Um, in a four-way match. And I remember at the time speculating like, oh my god, because he said, we might watch this match from ringside. It could be a big, I got something cooking for you. And I remember thinking, oh my god, what if it's Luchasaurus? What if it's like Christian Cage versus Nick Wayne versus Kip Sabian versus Luchasaurus? The match was not that. Spoiler alert. We just mentioned fucking Sammy Guevara. Guess who shows up later? But that is neither here nor there. We got to talk about two excellent things after that, though. To round out the dynamite portion of this Fyter Fest, we had a Max Caster Open Challenge 5 with the best wrestler alive. That man's turning face if he hasn't
Damn
already.
it, I love this man so much. This I cannot emphasize how much I never thought I would say this about Max Caster, but I am in love with this gimmick. It is fantastic. I'm not saying Max is a great guy or whatever, but this is a great gimmick. Bro is eating shit weekly. Well, not weekly anymore, but used to be weekly, but at least monthly to get himself over with the fans. And I have to respect it. I know I've said this before, but I have to respect it. Like, this is a lot of faith to put in Tony, which, I mean, to be fair, he probably has no other option. What else is he going to do, right? But this has worked so well. I was unironically chanting, "Let's go, Max! You're the best wrestler alive" at my TV in that. And I love every time the crowd does it, even if it's completely on point. He's like, "Well, that sucked. That sucks."
I know. It's brilliant. Talk about
amazing.
absolutely maximizing your minutes.
Maximizing. Sorry.
Thank you. Yes, I know. But talk about taking absolutely every last. To use a phrase from Dan Olsen, I don't know whether that reference lands with you. He is using the whole bird. He is getting absolutely everything out of this gimmick.
That's the MMA guy, right? No, I'm kidding.
Fuck you. But yeah, let's go Max. You're the best. He is the best shit heel alive. I will give him that.
Yes,
well,
absolutely.
No, Ricochet. He's the second best shit.
Kim and I actually had a bet. I mean, no money or whatever, but just for fun. Like, we thought how long he was going to last. Kim thought 15 seconds. I said 30, but they ended up going 45. But it was great. Hobbs came out, just absolutely destroyed him in under a minute. You can tell it's under a minute. I love, by the way, we're spending way too much time on this, but I love, by the way, that when that timer goes off, that 5-minute timer, it's like boom. It's like so dramatic.
It's really good.
So Everything about this used for like less than a minute. It's so fucking funny.
Everything about this entire gimmick, this entire segment, every time it happens is fucking hilarious. It's brilliant. And, who would have thought? Who would have thought that we've been clamoring for an Acclaimed breakup for years? Well, at least a year, because we were like, oh, well, we need to release Anthony Bowens. For God's sake, just push Anthony Bowens as a single star. And now it's happened, and we're like, let's go, Max, you're the best wrestler alive. Like,
I never really thought, oh my God, they just announced that Dalton Castle is coming back. Holy shit.
What? Oh my God. I'd shout boys, but I don't want to wake up everyone in my house.
I know. But yeah, apparently a UFO vignette on ROH TV confirmed the return of Dalton Castle after 11 months. Oh my God, I forgot it's been that long. Anyway, very exciting news.
The man absolutely fucked his back. I'm so glad that he's back.
Yes. Yep. And that's not the first time he's fucked up his back before. But yeah.
Yeah. But we need to talk about the main event of Dynamite, because you want to talk about match of the night. This was absolutely phenomenal stuff. This was the linchpin of Fyter Fest. This was the first thing that they announced weeks ago. The AEW International Title 4-way match of Mascara Dorada, Claudio Castagnoli, Brody King, and your AEW International Champion, Kenny by God Omega. Dory, is it controversial
Oh yeah, go ahead.
of me to say that Kenny Omega is the greatest professional wrestler of all time?
I mean, there's so many great options like Pete Rose, you know. I don't know. There's so many other.
I mean, it's between
He's
him and
got to be up
Bastion
there.
Booger.
He's got to be up there with my favorites and certainly one of the best of all time. I mean, he's one of my goats for sure. I love him, and just when I heard that music, I know people have mixed opinions about like his theme music and like which one's better and which one's more suited for this or that. But I fucking love his Final Fantasy music. I mean, I'm a huge gamer, so I know, shocker. But I love his Final Fantasy stuff and the Omega like part. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
so good. Just
Kenny
the whole
Omega
thing
has
is so
never
good.
Kenny Omega has never had a bad theme. Changed my mind. I love Devil Sky. I love Battle Cry. I love this new one, Take Flight. They're all excellent, and they can all be used interchangeably. You know, but I do love the idea that this is Kenny's theme for like the big matches, his title defenses, his pay-per-view matches.
Yeah.
You know,
This is like Kenny's locking the fuck in kind of music, which he did. He
yeah,
absolutely did. We got to
he
talk
really
about this.
did.
This was such a good match.
This match was absolutely phenomenal. And it started
Okay, Ospreay, easy there.
it started fairly sort of not slow. I mean, it started off with Claudio going right after Kenny, and everyone ganging up on Claudio because he is undoubtedly the heel of this match, and he plays it very well. But
I
yeah,
was
this
glad to see
match,
that.
yeah, he's a really good heel. Yeah, I mean, it's not a big news flash to say that Claudio Castagnoli is an excellent wrestler. But I feel like in the Death Riders, it's, you know, the style is very much that you don't get to see that side of him. You know, same with Pac whenever he was healthy. You know, it was very much you needed to subdue yourself because you're a heel, and especially a Death Riders type heel. You know, you don't get to show out as much as you would normally do, especially if you were a babyface not associated with that group. So it kind of gets forgotten that Claudio Castagnoli is genuinely an excellent, excellent wrestler.
Yeah,
And he got to
just
show
ask
it in
Eddie
this match.
Kingston how good of a heel Claudio can be.
You. Oh my
That
god.
got cut off on Discord because Discord sucks. But yeah, I know what you
I
said. I know
hate
why you
the
said
air that you breathe.
it. I
I
hate
don't.
you.
I hate the fact that you're even living.
So I can't wait for Eddie to be back. Good lord,
Oh
I
my
really hope
god.
it's by all in or all out.
Yeah, absolutely. Please come back, Eddie. We love you. But yeah, there's a spot in this match. I mean, there are too many spots to mention in this match. This is just a chain of phenomenal, phenomenal wrestling. It goes nearly 20 minutes, which, you know, for a Dynamite main event recently is quite long. But you know, what do you expect when it's Kenny Omega? You're not going to not give him time to cook. But there's a spot in this match that I really want to put over, which is, you know, Claudio does that thing where he chucks people up to give them a European uppercut. And you've seen him do it to, like, you know, he probably does it to Kenny in this match that I'm forgetting. You know, he's done it to God knows how many opponents in his career. He did it to Brody King, and I legitimately popped out of my chair. I was like, how the fuck can you do that? The man is, like, ridiculously heavy. And you popped him up like he was, I don't know, like he was a newborn baby. Incredible. Claudio blows my fucking mind sometimes.
Yeah, I mean takes some inspiration from Warhammer, right? 30K or whatever it's called. And like sometimes I think he's from that fucking universe with how strong he is. It is
I know.
unfathomable how tough and how strong he is. The fact that he's able to swing people around, lift them up, do these incredible moves. I mean, he's been. I don't think people have talked about it enough. When Claudio first joined, people were like, "Oh, cool! Like he'll have some nice matches and he'll be in some fun rivalries." But it won't. no one really thought he'd be like a needle mover or whatever, right? But Claudio has been so integral to the upper mid card for AEW.
So, funnily enough, again, not to get into too many tangents, although we knew this podcast was going to go long, but I had a conversation with a friend of mine not a few months ago about the concept of the upper mid card gatekeeper, of like the guy that you will have as a sort of, well, like I say, a gatekeeper to the upper mid card and the main event that you can put against someone that you want to push, you aren't 100% sure on, but you can put him against this guy and he will go out there and put him through his paces and be the guy that you can beat to solidify, oh, this new person is going to be someone that you want to keep your eye on. And we talked about the concept in like New Japan, and we came to the conclusion, this was before he won the IWGP title, but we came to the conclusion that that role has been very well filled by Hiroki Goto and Tomohiro Ishii in New Japan. And we were discussing who the guy is to fill that role in AEW, and we both pretty much immediately said, "Oh, well, it's Claudio Castagnoli." You know, he is the guy that you can put against anyone, and he will A, have a really good match with them, and B, if you want if you want him to, he will make them look like $1,000,000. Just a phenomenal worker all around.
I know in some people's house, the phrase being a good hand in wrestling is treated as like, some kind of dirty word or something that you should like, it's damning by faint praise. Nah, like Claudio is like the good hand of AEW. Like he's, shout out to the good hand gang. Like he is a member of that gang.
He is the most, and I don't mean this in any sort of naughty connotations, he is the most versatile worker in AEW. You can put him anywhere and he will get the best out of someone. But yeah, this, and like, that goes for him putting over a new guy, that goes for him being in a trios match, and it certainly goes for him going against Kenny fucking Omega, because, like, to tie it back, this match was just excellent stuff.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Dorada too.
Yes.
Dorada was incredible. I guess now the lineage of Mascara Dorada is too much to address. But basically, this is a newer guy taking the moniker of Mascara Dorada, and he's fucking sensational. I don't know what the hell. Like, I don't know if the mask has some kind of Power Ranger-esque like ability to give him powers, but like he was like going at 11 the entire match. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, the original Mascara Dorada was, if I'm not mistaken, Gran Metalik.
I believe you're right. Yes.
Yeah, who's he's had some matches as Metalik in AEW, not super recently. I think he left CMLL, not too long ago. But yeah, controversial opinion. This Mascara Dorada is better. He just is. Like,
there's
this
some
guy...
moves that he did in this match that I just like. The shooting star press outside to the ring, Dorada doing the screwdriver on Omega almost. Just his air time aggression. That was stupid. I don't know what the hell I meant by that. His air time is just incredible, and the amount of like pizzazz that he puts on every single move that he does, just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course, we've talked about Brody. We talked about Claudio Castagnoli and Mascara Dorada. Brody King is phenomenal. He's so good. I'm so sad that Buddy Matthews got hurt, because I fully believe that.
I'm so glad
that they would have won the tag titles.
Like, this clearly shows how much Tony likes Brody, because he's still getting booked quite often, even if he doesn't always win. But he's still getting booked quite often, and he just won a match and he didn't lose this one. So I hope it's a good sign towards Buddy coming back sooner than later.
Yes, but, absolutely.
Yeah. Brody was great in this match. Obviously, Kenny's the GOAT. I mean, he looked incredible. The one-winged angel at the end of the match looked as good as ever. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. We could go on about this match forever, but we're already like an hour in, so should probably talk about that coin drop.
Absolutely. If you want to briefly talk about it, I just have to mute myself for just 1 minute. But yes, please enlighten the crowd, the viewing audience, as to how
I,
fucking exciting this is.
Yeah, I don't even. I think that Adam has done the smart thing here. He doesn't want people hearing the noises he's about to make, and I respect that. So great call there, Adam. But yeah, so I actually almost missed this because for some fucking reason Max decided to split this up into a Collision and a Dynamite instead of like just one Fyter Fest stream. So I had to quickly change over, and I did miss the coin drop, and I got spoiled that it happened, of course, by people in chat and whatnot. But I did get to right before they start getting physical with each other. Okada goes for the Rainmaker and Omega goes for the One Winged Angel, and they reverse each other's spots. And I mean, spoilers. That's the announcement for later on that Okada and Omega are going head to head at All In, which has been the direction since World's End. Like, pretty much everyone has known that. I'm very excited. I think they're going to move a bunch of tickets just from that announcement itself. I don't know how many. I would say anywhere from 500 to 1,000 tickets are solely going to be moved based on that alone. Now, I could be wildly overestimating it, but I think the nostalgia for that trilogy that they had, or quadrilogy that they had, is still there. It is definitely there, and the demand for it is there. And I really think a lot of people are going to be moved into if they were ever on the fence.
I think you're underestimating. I genuinely think that there's going to be. When the next, I will be watching very intently for the next WrestleTix update to come out. I genuinely think they'll move a couple thousand on this, and they should, because right. I don't want to make Kenny and Kazuchika the victim of overhyping, but even now, even 7 years removed from their last match, which, anyone who's seen it understands immediately why it's widely considered the greatest match of all time. Even 7 years removed from that, they're very different people. They're very different wrestlers. Okada has become broadly a comedy wrestler who can still lock the fuck in when he needs to. And Kenny has obviously undergone some very serious medical things. He slowed down a bit. He's still incredible in a different way. I think we're going to see a very different style of match than the previous 4. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a worse match. I genuinely think we are going to see definitively the match of the year. Possibly the greatest match AEW has ever put on. I'm saying possibly, because
Right.
Danielson and Ospreay is an incredibly high bar to clear.
Yeah, and Hangman versus Ospreay, the one that just happened. But yeah, I mean, I'm very excited either way. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a crash out from people who said, didn't strike me as well. Like, there are fucking weirdos out there who saw Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega and were like, really? Like, after all that, that's all we get, or some shit like that, right? So I'm sure some of those people will be enforced being like, yeah, I mean, whatever, I mean, excited is an understatement. I'm absolutely pumped for this match. We knew it was happening for a long time now, and it'll probably be incredible. It'll be, like you said, it'll be a different kind of match. They'll work differently, and it won't be. I think anyone who's going in expecting anything like their quadrilogy is setting themselves up for disappointment. But that said, it is still going to be an amazing match because both these guys can still work their ass off.
I think it's the longest build to a pure single match that AEW has ever done. I know people are going to say, like, oh, well, what about Hangman versus Kenny? But that was only ever officially nailed on with a date and time when Hangman won the Casino Ladder match in October. I don't know when. Were you watching back then?
And when what? I started right when Sting joined.
Oh, yeah. So you were. No, I was saying that, Hangman and Kenny had a lot of builds, but the build to the official date and time match started when Hangman won the Casino Ladder match. So it had like a good sort of 6-7 weeks of build. This match, we have known the date, the time, the location for this match by the time the bell rings for nigh on 7 months. Like, that is, in AEW, as far as I'm aware, completely unprecedented. And there is no greater match that you could possibly build for that long than Okada Omega 5. It is the match that people in the know have been absolutely salivating at the prospect of for 7 years now. I'm including myself in that. You know, this match will move fucking mountains. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Well, I've got just the theme song for you, Adam.
Oh boy. Oh right. Okay. Yes. Very good.
Yeah. Anyway, we should probably
Oh
move on
dear.
to Collision at this point. I think
Yeah.
we'll probably go through this a little faster, but
Yeah.
there is still some good stuff here.
This was very much a collision. Well, you know. Pardon me. Sorry. I was drinking and you made me laugh with the fucking theme song. But this was very much. This was tiring by the end. Like there were some very good matches on this card, you know, this collision card that we're going to talk about. But this was, I was shattered by the end of this. I really was. Off with the right match, I would say. They started off with the match that if you made me pinpoint, oh well, which match am I really going? Do I need to be awake and alert for? You know, properly giving it my 100% undivided attention. Yeah, start off with Will Ospreay versus Lio Rush.
Right.
Give me. By the way, just to put over, going from Omega and Okada straight into Ospreay on my screen, that is like nowhere else but AEW are you going to get that absolute stratospheric level of talent, one after another.
Yeah, there's
You know
no
what I
other
mean?
place you get that level of stratisfaction.
Very good.
Thank you. I do birthday parties, everybody. Just letting you know.
Oh, well, I mean, you know, I feel like you should pay me for the privilege.
Mostly, I show up, act like a wallflower, and then awkwardly leave without asking for money. So it's really
It is
weird.
it is genuinely a difficult decision whether I would rather book you or John Wayne Gacy for my kid's birthday party.
Wow. Okay, clowning around now, huh?
At
Okay.
least he was a semi-successful clown.
That's true. All right. Anyway, we've veered off into John Wayne Gacy. That's a new one for us. Um, put
But
that
yes,
in the
this match.
description. Anyway, yeah, this match was great. This match was pretty much everything I wanted, and it just was so quick at the beginning. Especially, I love that little move that Leo does, where he just slaps the shit out of his opponent, and then goes in for like an elbow strike right afterwards. Love that shit.
But
The
I
yeah,
love when Leo runs the ropes and he does that sort of fake out where he's like, you know, he's about to run into them, but then he dodges to the side and runs the other ropes. I don't know anyone that can move like that. You know, Leo Rush is a very underrated wrestler who I won't say sadly has been saddled with Action Andretti. I like Andretti, but I do feel like Leo Rush has a higher ceiling than what he's doing at the moment. And it shone through in this match because, you know, nobody's going to have a bad match with Will Ospreay. And trust me, people have tried. But you know, this match was really really good. Very much a case of we want to get Ospreay in a match, you know, on this 4 hour card because these fans have paid to see a big massive 4 hour special, and if Ospreay's in the building, we might as well give them a match. And I'm very glad that they do because, you know, Will Ospreay is the greatest wrestler on the planet right now. Why would you not use him as much as you can if he's willing?
yep. Ospreay and Rush both looked really great in this entire match. Rush had some a poison run at one point, as well as that frog splash that always looks so good. But ultimately, Rush ended up losing to Ospreay, of course, and him and Andretti started beating them down, and then somebody came out at him. Who could have come out?
Oh, well, I have no idea. It's almost like this whole thing about having each other's back has been paying off dividends because
Right?
just again, like, it's the mark of a hot promotion when you can get these when it's the mark of a hot promotion when everyone is over, right? But it's also the mark of a hot promotion when you can have your main event talent come out and the place absolutely goes nuclear. And that is what this crowd did when Hangman's music hit, by the way, because the Hangman's music, the sting of his music, his heel theme, isn't as prominent as his face. The guitar thing. Yeah, yeah. When that used to hit, everyone would go bananas because it's a very good sting to
I
a.
still remember when he came out to that fucking casino ladder match, and everybody
Yeah, yeah,
freaked the
yeah.
fuck out.
Oh, that did the rounds on Twitter a couple of days ago, and it immediately took me back. That was right when I was properly hardcore getting into AEW, because I'd been brought in, broadly speaking. I'd seen some of AEW in my sort of wrestling fandom, but I will not lie, it was very much CM Punk that got me locked in fully to AEW, and when he showed up. Um, Yeah, that moment was stunning. The crowd absolutely erupting, and this moment was, an eruption very similar to that. But when his music hits and the fans look and realize, oh my god, it's Hangman! Everyone starts jumping out of their seat because he is genuinely, like I said, stratospherically over, and AEW is on fire because of it.
Yeah, unless you've been living under
And
a
yeah,
rock, of course.
of course.
Of
Uh,
course.
I really like this promo, by the way. Um,
Yes.
very much. I like the promo that Hangman cut because Hangman is a genuinely excellent promo, very authentic, very sort of believable babyface promo. But I really love the angle that came after it, which by the way, we go from an excellent promo to excellent segment being completely wordless.
Yeah,
Because
this was good. I swear to God, Moxley showed up out of fucking nowhere.
he really did. He really did. Like that excellent camera work, obviously, to
Yes.
shield, to obscure Moxley from our view. But also, yeah, he just comes out of fucking nowhere. Um, you know, I think Hangman says, all in Texas will be my night, and everyone pops. But you could hear in the pop, there's like, hey, oh no. And then the camera pans, and there's John Moxley standing in the ring, ready to go. And he has
And
that
it's
look
funny
in his
too
eye.
because some of us were like, okay, they've been keeping them apart for like a week or two now. Like, what's going on? Like, shouldn't they be interacting at some level? But yeah, here it was. It was so good, so worth it, so worth the wait.
Mm, yeah. And he slides into the ring. He's looking at Hangman like, we're gonna go for this now. Because Claudio, Yuta, Marina, the Death Riders, they start circling. And Ospreay comes back out with two chairs because he's a fucking madman and hands one of them to Hangman.
I
And then it's like,
love how Hangman grabbed it wordlessly. Just grabbed it. He never stops looking at Moxley. I noticed that. Like the way he grabbed it was so good.
yeah, and it's like two men with chairs versus four unarmed people. And you can see Moxley, like, that's what I love about the wordless, emotive uh, acting of this segment, because you can see it's like that meme of the woman who I always think is Sigourney Weaver, but apparently isn't. It's apparently from a Brazilian telenovela. Doing the calculations in her head, and you can see Moxley sort of surveying the scene, thinking, "Is this worth it?" And eventually makes the calculation, no, it's not worth it, and just again wordlessly slides out to the ring, calls off his dogs, and makes his way back out. Really, really, the acting on display in this segment, absolutely blew me away. It was, yeah, I can't put
And,
over
and it
enough how much
still
I
feels
really
like a
like
big
this.
deal that they were able to chase off the Death Riders. Like the Death Riders still feel like, especially now, feel like a big threat.
Yeah, which is what I feel like that was what they were always lacking, especially when you had the times when it would be one unarmed 50-year-old Adam Copeland, and I know he's big and he's a big deal, But that should not be enough to call off 4 people. Whereas now the Death Riders feel genuinely dangerous, where it's like there was a chance that Jon Moxley, even against 2 really sort of main event level guys with chairs, there's a chance that he could have turned around and gone, yeah, fuck it, that's worth the risk, get him. And it's that sort of tension, that nervous tension. The Death Riders feel dangerous, and that's what they've been chasing ever since they bagged Bryan Danielson, and they finally captured that again. And it's what's made the Death Riders go from the worst part of AEW TV to genuinely one of the best, certainly one of the most consistent in the past month and a half or so.
Yeah, sorry. Totally agree. I wasn't sure if you were going to segue into something else. Yeah, I really liked this whole segment and how it was laid out. Ospreay backing up Hangman, just reiterating that storyline and reemphasizing to the crowd, like, this is the key to being the Death Riders.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really, really good stuff. After that, we had a brief promo with the Don Callis family. Don introduced. I don't necessarily think it's a new member of the Don Callis family, more like a sort of hired gun leading into Arena Mexico. But what a perfect pairing, because Hechicero has temporarily associated himself with the Don Callis family. Hechicero so much.
Yeah,
And
I was
it's
very into
shocking
this.
to me. It's shocking to me how effective the periodic appearances of Hechicero on TV have been, in AEW. Because those who are in the know, who have been watching CMLL, I know it's very difficult to watch CMLL as a Western, as a person outside of Mexico, I should say. But those who are in the know have known Hechicero to be a phenomenal wrestler for a while now. But when it was announced that the CMLL pairing was happening, they ditched AAA, bye Conan, and AEW aligned themselves with CMLL. I think it was genuinely the first person they put on TV from CMLL was Hechicero, and they put him against Bryan Danielson of all people because they knew that they had if Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. are 1A and 1B in best technical wrestlers in the world, Hechicero is like 1C. You know what I mean? Two on a normal day, 1C on a good day. He's just a tiny level below those two, but he's still the third best technical wrestler on the planet for my money. And they've done a phenomenal job of showcasing that. To the point where he can show up unannounced on AEW television and get a massive reaction both in the arena and online. For us to go like, oh my god, it's Hechicero. Amazing. We get to see Hechicero wrestle. I saw him wrestle in the Copper Box last year, the day before All In. He wrestled Zack Sabre Jr. It was the second match that they had. It was the best match that they had. And it was quite possibly one of the greatest matches I've ever seen in person. Hechicero is amazing, and I love him.
I'm very jealous you got to see that. I immediately popped for Hechicero, so yeah, pretty much seconding everything you just said. Big fan of Hechi.
Absolutely. And also, just want to put over Carl Fletcher in the background. Is just absolutely mind-meltingly attractive. I'm so sorry.
Oh boy. All right. So anyway, immediately after that promo, we
No,
got
no,
FT.
no, I'm not done. I'm not done.
Of course, you're not done.
That's not everything I was going to say, although, it is everything I'm thinking. But also his facial reactions during the background was so... They were, I say this in the most loving, excellent way possible, they were Kyle O'Reilly in the Conglomeration-esque of just like, I'm in the background of the thing, and I'm going to be doing just the goofiest, stupidest faces imaginable just to pop myself.
I gotta be real with you. Totally missed that. I was so excited about Hechicero.
No, he's just, like Kyle O'Reilly, whenever Mark Briscoe would be on one of his...
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was just doing that in the background, and, me being me, I popped for Hechicero, and then immediately was like, right, back to Carl Fletcher. Um, so yeah, I caught all of it.
Yeah,
He's a very funny guy,
that
and
does sound like
also
you.
amazing, an amazing professional wrestler, and smoking hot, attractive. Anyway, let's move on. There's an FTR match that we need to talk about. Um,
God, I love these two.
oh my god. Back sort of 6 months ago, we were practically begging FTR to turn heel because their babyface run with Adam Copeland, it got a bit stale. We were like, oh well, they really need something new to do. We want to turn him heel, and I don't know what I expected from an FTR heel turn, but this has blown every expectation out of the water for me. They've become just absolutely spectacular heels. And it's not just their work, but it is the whole pairing with Stokely Hathaway. I did not see it coming, and it has been
Yeah,
inspired so far.
it has been very good.
But they faced Atlantis Junior and Templario. I believe it's my first Templario match I've ever seen. Very very good wrestler. It's not my
Yes,
first
he's very
Atlantis Junior.
talented.
Not my first Atlantis Junior match I've ever seen. You've seen it. You've seen one in person, haven't you?
I believe so. Back when yeah, I saw him versus Kyle Fletcher, I think, or was it? No, was that versus Lee Johnson? I don't remember, but it was something for the ROH TV title. It might have been the survival of the fittest match.
I believe you also saw him against Mansoor in the
Oh,
Hammerstein.
that's right. Hell yeah, I did. That fucking match ruled too.
Oh, I just went to look, and apparently Cage Match has shat itself again.
Mm.
In terms of its match recommendations, good. It normally only does that when there's a big show about, so I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. This match was really good. I
Yes.
think this match. I think this match might be. It's either this or the following match that is like collision match of the night for me.
Yeah.
Because the FTR heel shenanigans are really excellent, and even when they're not doing heel shenanigans, they're still one of the greatest tag teams of all time. I'll stand by that of all time. By the way, I did mean to say in the
Wow.
world, but yeah, all time.
Yeah, this was really well done between both teams, and I love that Stokely keeps calling them the winningest tag team in AEW history. So good shit there. This was just classic fists versus flips kind of match.
Yes.
Templario looked amazing. Atlantis Jr. looked amazing. A lot of really good stuff uh, between the two, but ultimately a shatter machine to pin Templario and get the victory for FTR. Not a ton to talk about here, but that's not to say it was a bad match. It was a really great match, actually. But yeah, just a really good styles make matches kind of match.
Yeah, absolutely. It harkens back to the FTR Bucks rivalry, multi-year rivalry that they had, and just that perfect meshing of styles, like you said. It makes me think that there is now nothing more that I want than an FTR versus Los Titanes del Aire match. Oh, you still there?
Sorry, run that by me.
No, I said that it makes me think that there is nothing I want more now than this FTR versus Los Titanes del Aire.
Yeah,
That
no, me too. I would also love for FTR to face the tag team that you just mentioned.
I wasn't trying to. I know that they had. I think it was a couple of years ago now. I think they faced Commander and Vikingo. At one point, it was on like a Dynamite or something, or maybe a
Hmm,
Collision. Probably a Collision,
maybe.
actually. But that I remember that being really, really good because, of course, it was. Um, but yeah, this FTR run has been really, really good so far. But then after that, we had the first of our Don Callis trios matches. Um, well, no, not well. The last one wasn't actually a trios match; it was an 8-man match, right? If
Right.
I'm not mistaken.
I
Um,
believe so.
but yeah, this match was really, really good. I mean, we say that like we should be surprised. Although I suppose you could make the argument that you could be surprised, given one team was very much.
I was very that's what I was about to say. I was very confused about like my expectations for this match. I'm like, on one side we have three of the best wrestlers in AEW's men's division, and then on the other we have Bandito, one of the best wrestlers in the men's division. But then, and I love the Outrunners for their gimmick, but like the wrestling can't really back up the gimmick. I mean, although I guess it is kind of true to form, right, for how people in the '80s did wrestle. But
oh yeah, they are '80s wrestlers through and through.
Right, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. It's just like when you've got Hoopers like this, right, in this kind of match, they stick out like a sore thumb. So I was pleasantly surprised that for me it was a solid match overall.
Do you know what makes me laugh? It makes me think, what if the sort of matches were reversed? Because I sort of think Bandito and the Outrunners versus Roppongi Vice and Lance Archer would be just, I don't want to say a snooze fest, because I like Roppongi Vice and Lance Archer, and especially Bandito, but I do sort of feel like that would be the worst match of the night. But then if you had the Paragon, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roddy Strong versus Hechicero, Carl Fletcher, and Konosuke Takeshita, that would be a phenomenal match. You know what I mean? It's like, as it happens, we had like a really good match, a surprisingly good match, considering it might genuinely be the Outrunners' best match. Sort of in ring, and one fairly okay match, I guess. I still haven't seen it. Yeah, just to talk about this match briefly. I got a bit sidetracked there. My own little fantasy book.
Stalker.
I know. But yeah, it was impossible for four of the people in this match not to put on a real showcase, and that's what they did.
Yeah, Hechicero looked really good. Bandito looked really good. Ultimately ended surprisingly with Fletcher getting the brainbuster on Bandito, if I'm not wrong, and got a pin on him too. So I wonder if they're setting that up for Arena Mexico for a rematch where Bandito wins, but I don't know.
Entirely possible. I mean, they've very cleverly weave. If that is the direction, Bandito versus Carl Fletcher at Arena Mexico, I will love that. Yes. Because I feel like with Kyle not winning the TNT title last week, the plan is very much in place for them to stretch this out to Texas.
Yes.
So I think if you're gonna do that, then the Don Callis family is big enough and their opponents are varied enough that you can have Carl Fletcher go on this little bit of a side quest with Bandito and then tie it in with the wider Paragon Adam Cole TNT title storyline as we build back up towards Texas. So yeah, absolutely all in favor of that. But yeah, this like you say, great match, good build potentially to Arena Mexico. Yeah, just a really fun match.
Very nice.
There was then a backstage segment of women. I know, shocking. It's been a while since we talked about some women. I
think it's been over 13 minutes.
Oh, at least.
At least.
But yeah, they mentioned that Harley Cameron got her nose busted, which has now been revealed to be a cover, because apparently she got injured at Double or Nothing. By the way, what a fucking cover. I don't think did we talk about this last week? We might have talked about this.
I don't think we knew about it, or if we did, it was kind of late in the podcast. But yeah, I think we did very briefly. But yeah, I had no idea she was injured.
No, I think it came out after we did the podcast that she was injured, and the nose break wasn't actually a nose break. It was a blood packet. Because I bought that 110%. I thought, oh, she has completely fucked her nose up real bad. So yeah, excellent work by Harley Cameron, but she's going to be out. I haven't heard any sort of estimation for how long she'll be out. Hopefully not a great deal of time, although based on what happened in this segment, unfortunately, it may well be. Because Penelope Ford and Megan Bain had Anna Jay, without her partner, trying to get their revenge for Although I guess not really revenge because they did win the match, but they're just continuing that sort of program. They bring her out onto the stage. Megan Bain lifts her up. She's about to powerbomb her off the stage. And who should make her return to AEW TV after, God knows how long? I'm just gonna say, just gonna check before I say God knows how long. Apparently, her last match in AEW was that cannot be right. That cannot be right. Her last match was in January 2023.
Wow. And this person's name, by the way, if I can be so obliged, Troy Mello or whatever. I don't know if that ad got cut off, but I tried to imitate the guy at the beginning of her
No,
entrance.
you got it. You got it.
Okay, great.
Yeah, genuinely, her last match on AEW TV was a street fight between Ruby Soho and Willow Nightingale and TJ, which it seems has reunited on this show because obviously Ty Mello made the save for Anna Jay. Makes me think that I know we talked about the announcement not being the tag belts, but this only confirms in my mind that they are on their way.
Yeah, for sure. I love Ty J, and I'm super excited to see them back. I think they're a great tag team. One of the OG women's tags, or at least one of the more longer running ones. I'm really excited to see them back, and thought that was a pretty easy layup for TK to do, but was surprised when he didn't and just threw Harley in there. So I don't know if this was the backup plan or this was always going to happen or what, but I'm excited that it's happening, and hopefully it sets up some cool stuff. I know people are a little mixed on Ty, but I do genuinely think that she was getting better and she was showing out more and more. And I think if they give her some time to cook, I think, especially with her judo background, I think she can really, uh, get in with the crowd again. And she used to be pretty over before. You know what? I'm not going to talk about it. But anyway, so I don't want to think about it. It's too depressing. But anyway, Ty Mello showed up, and I presume this sets up more hardcore women's matches, which hell yeah. Well, it actually sets up a tag team match for next week, but you know what I mean.
Just to briefly talk about what you said about Harley, perhaps being the backup plan or whatever. I genuinely just think that is a case of Harley Cameron becoming too good not to have on television.
Right.
So it was a case of like, perhaps if she hadn't got injured, Ty Mello would still be off television. But no disrespect to Ty Mello, I'm glad she's back because I think on a good day she is a good wrestler. But yeah, if you gave me the option of having Ty Mello back or keeping Harley Cameron healthy and with Anna Jay, I'm sorry, but Ty Mello is losing that argument.
Yeah,
because I don't think anyone could have foreseen, especially when we were talking, like QTV era. I don't think anyone could have foreseen Harley Cameron becoming as genuinely undeniable as she has been.
Yeah.
So like,
she's been great.
She is one of those people. She's one of those talents. Even in a women's division where we discussed earlier, where the time and the opportunities are limited, she is one of those women where it's like, well, you have to make time for her because she's so good. So like, yeah, I think that's probably what happens. Where it was like, well, after the Mercedes match, and we're probably going to be bringing in tag titles. We gotta have Harley Cameron in here somewhere. So yeah, that's cool. Let's put her with Anna Jay because they're both naturally very charismatic people. Genuinely believe that about Anna Jay. I don't know whether that's controversial, but I think Anna Jay is a really charismatic performer and promo. So it seemed like a really good match. I'm excited for what TJ or TJ do in the future. I just hope Harley Cameron comes back soon and healthy. But yeah, we need to move on. Just briefly, Anthony Bowens challenged Carl Fletcher for a match in Portland next week.
And someone finally acknowledged that it's Pride Month. Yay!
Yeah. I mean, I imagine if Toni Storm had a chance to get on the mic, she probably would have said something. But
yes,
the next best thing. Sorry, Anthony. Um, but yeah, this match, the TV title match, the 4-way as promised. Nick Wayne versus Lee Johnson, Sammy Guevara, and a surprise. I shouldn't say a surprise appearance by AR Fox because he has been on TV a lot more recently, which I'm very glad about because he's an excellent wrestler. Uh, this match was pretty good. You know, it didn't necessarily blow me away. There were a couple of spots that blew me away, mostly involving AR Fox, because again, he
Yes.
is a really excellent wrestler.
I honestly think we need to strap up AR Fox very soon, just with something. I don't know, maybe ROH TV title or something, but he needs. He's connected with the fans so well lately. I don't know exactly what's going on besides AR Fox just being amazing like he always has been. But yeah,
I genuinely wouldn't mind him holding the ROH World title. I think he's that level of really
nice.
excellent performer.
Yeah.
But yeah, this match, there are a couple of spots I want to talk about. There's a spot where AR Fox, he gets, I think it's Lee Johnson in the corner, and he does like, it's like a half Canadian destroyer through the ropes. I don't exactly know what it was, but it looked absolutely incredible. Like AR Fox is the absolute MVP of this match. Um which it does sort of make me a bit sad that he's the one that got pinned.
Yeah, I wasn't super great with that, and I would have much preferred like Sammy getting pinned or anybody else besides AR, but he still looked excellent during the match, and like I said, he's been incredibly over with fans lately.
Yeah. Like he got proper, AR Fox chants as he came out, and a real, sustained pop when his entrance music hit. So yeah, absolutely. AR Fox is one of those guys, like a bit like Claudio, like we talked about earlier, where you can just put him in anything and he will show out, unless it's a match outside of US soil, in which case don't do that. He can't do that.
I love, oh, by the way, that Nick Wayne's new move is called the Pain Driver. I don't know if that's a reference to Wayne's World, the movie or something, but it's called the Pain Driver, which is interesting.
Why does that sound like a Chris Jericho move to me?
I don't know. Honestly, could be.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of like the
The
Pain Maker.
Painmaker. Yes, you're thinking about the
Yeah,
Painmaker. But yeah, Lee Johnson looked great in this match. AR, like you said, was the standout. Nick Wayne looked good, like he always does, really. And
Sammy was also
ultimately,
there.
yeah, and Sammy, I guess, was there. Honestly, he was fine. He was fine. He did his. I would have been okay with this being a triple threat, but I guess Sammy was there too. And
Yeah,
yeah, this was a great. I think this was a solid match, despite Sammy being in it. It was a solid match, and everybody did their role well. AR just did it the best, and that's pretty much all there is to say about it.
yeah, pretty much. Good match. Um, After that, they ran down the matches for Summer Blockbuster. I feel sorry for you that you have to do another 4 hours worth of content next week. I will not be here. I don't know whether you even will. But yeah, good luck with that. Um, yeah, after that, they finally they've been teasing it all night with vignettes, which I really appreciate, by the way. Um, but we finally get the AEW in-ring debut of the Toxic Spider Tekla. And by the way, I just want to put over a really good first opponent choice, I think.
Yes,
Lady Frost is one of those women that slyly has become a very reliable person, especially in this sort of role, as like a person that you can just put out there and she will have a good match. What more do you need out of someone?
right. Yeah, I like Lady Frost a lot. I love that murder gymnastic kind of style that she's got going on. Um,
Mm.
and generally, I just felt like this was a good fit. Would have liked Tekla to get more time? Yes, but we've already talked about that. For the time that we did get, Tekla looked really good. I think it was. You could argue that a local enhancement talent would have been nice here, but I also think that Tekla squashing such a notable talent like Lady Frost to the people who pay attention to the product, means more than just a local enhancement talent. So I think there are
Yes,
arguments either
absolutely.
way, but yeah.
Yeah, if you're gonna do a squash match, then like I say, Lady Frost is a perfect opponent for that because it's not a local enhancement talent. But equally, it's not someone that you would be like, oh my god, why would you squash those? Like, imagine if she
Right.
had squashed like Jamie Hayter. Like,
I know, I
fuck
just
me.
thought that. That would have been terrible.
Can you imagine? But like, Lady Frost is the perfect person that you can do that with. Someone who has a relative degree of credibility with the AEW fans, but also you can just put out there to get squashed by a new incoming who I imagine will be pushed as a monster. That sort
Right.
of, really beast, because she looks incredible in this match. She did the spider. Someone pointed out on Twitter, by the way, that when she does the spider, her gear, like her chest piece, looks like spider eyes when she does the spider.
Oh, that's so cool. I
It's
had no
really
idea.
amazing. It's really amazing. And then obviously she hits genuinely a really, really good spear. Like, the spear isn't generally a move that is used super frequently by women. Does Megan Bain use it? I'm not sure, or does she do a
I
flying
believe Megan
lariat?
does use it, yeah.
Okay, but yeah, but Megan is one of those people that you can get away with using it because she looks so much bigger than all the other women. But Tekla hits one. It's sort of it's a gore type spear for my money, where it's just like she doesn't she doesn't wrap around like Cope does or Roman does. It's more
We're
like a
fucking
gore where she
starting the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery. We got the Toxic Spider, we've got Rhino, we've got Hologram, who's basically Mysterio. I'm really nerding out right now, but that was like my first thought.
Oh my god, you're right. But yeah, just to break down the spear again, it's very much more of a gore type thing where she just fucking runs into you like at speed, and she does a really good it's sort of like an octopus hold. I think they called it the death trap on commentary.
That's correct. It's the Death Trap.
Yeah, very good stuff. Very excited for the match that they announced after this, which is um, Tekla won't release the hold on Lady Frost, and Queen Aminata, who was one of those people that Twitter was going absolutely crazy about because they were like, "Oh, where is Queen Aminata?" Here she fucking is. Calm down. Um, but yeah, she makes the save after the commercial break. She says, "Anytime anyone new comes here, they try to make a name for themselves. But she is the one and only African queen. You fucking go." And she did say, back in my home country, we stomp on spiders like you, which I thought was really good.
That was very good.
But yeah, after that, we had the incredible, huge announcement. By the way, this is the first huge announcement in a while.
A long time. I'm starting to think we're back, Adam. I'm starting to think we're back.
2021, baby, we never left. But yeah, I'm glad that they're back because people can scream overuse and the crying wolf and whatever. Back when Tony Khan seemingly did make one every week, but it always worked on me. It genuinely always worked. Like, you could say, "Oh well, another huge announcement," blah blah blah, but it always got me to be like, "Oh, what's he got? What is going on here?" Because there would always be there's always a variety in the quality of announcement. It could either be, oh, season 2 of All Access, which I never watched anyway, or it could be, we're running Wembley Stadium. So it's like, you never know what's coming down the pipeline. And I know we thought the announcement would be women's tag belts, and it wasn't. Um, and I sort of thought, oh well, we knew that this was the direction they were going. Still, now that I look upon it, I'm like, I I can't believe that it's happening. I know we've known that it was happening for 6 months, but we're getting Okada and Omega again.
Said in the most sexual way possible. Yeah, we've already said pretty much everything there is to say about this, but yeah, bears repeating. I'm very excited for this match. I'm very curious how they work this match, how long Tony gives them. Is it the main event? But that can all be sorted out later.
Regardless of whether it's the main event, I'm thinking that this will probably be proved wrong because I know what Tony Khan is like. But I'm thinking this will probably be something like an 8-match card, main card, because I think that there are at least 3 matches on this card that you will want to give very significant time to. Probably 4 if they end up doing Swerve and Ospreay versus the Bucks. But you will want to give significant time to that. You'll want to give significant time to Tony and Mercedes. You'll want to give significant time to Moxley and Hangman. And I'll say you want to give at least 30, 35 minutes, bell to bell, not including entrances, to Okada and Omega. It would not surprise me if, especially if it's the main event, if you give including entrances and video packages, etc., if Okada and Omega get an hour. Whether that's, 40, 45 minutes in ring once all the fluff and the pomp and circumstance is over. Yeah,
I would love for them to at least get half an hour, like you said. Maximum for me of 45 minutes, but I'm not going to complain if they get more, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think they go 60. Because
I don't either.
I don't think that they have necessarily the capacity to do the Wrestle Kingdom 11 or especially the Dominion 2018, 65-minute match anymore. I just don't. But I think they have the capacity to do a proper 35-minute, 40-minute epic.
Right.
Because, first of all, Kenny Omega has done that already this year with Gabe Kidd. And second of all, these men... I mean, I know we haven't seen them wrestle each other in 7 years, but back in the day, these men have absolutely preternatural chemistry.
What's their win-loss against each other? I've seen the quadrilogy, but I don't remember.
They are let me think. Kenny's won 2, Okada's won 1, and there's been 1 time limit draw.
Okay, great. So, but Kenny's still winning, so that's interesting. But okay, I thought maybe they'd be tied, or maybe Okada would have more wins.
Well, what you have to consider is that they did the quadrilogy. Okada won the first one. It was a time limit draw the second one. Kenny won the third one. So going into the big blow off for New Japan, the 283 Falls match, they were 1 and 1 and 1 and 1. You know what I mean?
Xena knows what you mean as well.
Yeah, I heard.
But yeah, let's move on to the main event, if you want to call it that.
I might just let you talk about this again. I haven't seen it.
I'm gonna be real with y'all. We're gonna end on a bit of a whimper. Unless Xena barks, then we're gonna end on a bark. There's not much to say here. It was. I'm not saying it was a bad match, but at this point I was tapped out, and I haven't even gone back to watch it. But it's Lance Archer, who I like, Josh Alexander, who I love, Trent and Rocky, who I like, Danny, who I still love despite some problems here and there, and Paragon, all of whom I like a lot, especially Kyle and Roddy. So all the ingredients were there, but I just don't really understand why this was the main event. I guess because TK figured that people were tired at this point. Even a lot of people were leaving from the arena because, it was, pretty late even in Colorado. But yeah, there's not a lot to talk about here. Cole eventually gets the pin on Rocky, of course, because Rocky's always going to be the one in the group to take the pin, almost always, unless, they're feeling spicy, and Trent does. But yeah, Trent did a nice Death Valley driver. Lance Archer, was great as always in that sort of power role. And Josh Alexander had some hard-hitting strikes and suplexes, according to AEW.com itself. And Adam Cole, of course, always aura farming with his Panama Sunrise. And yeah, it was all good. But at that point, I was done. And honestly, that's really all I have to say. It was a good match. Maybe even a great match if I wasn't so fucking tired. But I was tired. So it was a good match. And I was, like I said way earlier in the podcast, which feels like a long time ago now, which kind of was. I think this is one of the longest podcasts we've ever done. I was begging. I was like, please hit the boom. Okay, now please cover him. Okay, now please get a 3 count. No one interrupt him, please. And like, thankfully, it worked out. But yeah, I was tapped out, and I don't blame you for going to sleep. This wasn't much of a main event to remember it by.
Yeah, I heard that it just sort of happened.
It just sort of happened. It was a good match. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no awful botches or miscommunications or whatever. It was all good stuff, but it just felt perfunctory at that point. And I don't know. I guess I would have ended with some other match, but I don't even fucking know what. So I was just glad it was over.
The thing is,
yeah.
I'm glad that from what I hear, they ended with the sort of, not the worst match of the night, because I don't think anyone said that it was bad necessarily, but the sort of weakest, the fillerist match of the night. And I appreciate that, because no matter what was going on, unless it was something spectacular, like unless they actually ended the night with the 4-way, the Kenny Omega 4-way, there was almost zero chance that I was going to be staying up to watch that. I was literally, my eyelids were drooping, absolutely and completely. I staggered my way up the stairs. So this was, because the thing is, I've almost been trained to prepare myself for a pay-per-view, because 4 hours is about your standard pay-per-view length, right? And oftentimes you will have, especially in AEW, matches that can keep me awake on a pay-per-view. Because Anarchy in the Arena kept me awake and absolutely buzzing during a 4.5 hour show at Double or Nothing a couple of weeks ago. Well, not even a couple of weeks ago, like, last week. But with this one, Collision was a good show. Dynamite was a very good show. Together, 4 hours, it just took it out of me. I get why they're doing it. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't begrudge them it, but it was just a bit too much for me in the end.
Me as well. And I don't love that we're getting another 4. I know this sounds ungrateful in a way, but I don't love that we're getting another 4 hours next week. I don't really need it, and it's just a chore to stay up for. Kim only made it through Dynamite. She wasn't even able to watch Collision, so I had to finish the show by myself, which was a bit of a bummer too. It's just not great. This is why I don't want them to ever do 3 hours. I mean, I'm okay with a flexible 2.5 hour show, but otherwise, yeah. Thank you, Xena.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind 2.5 hours.
Xena's not happy about it either.
No, I would quite like 2.5 hours, because there are often times when I'm watching Dynamite and it ends, 2 hours and 5 minutes, where I'm like, oh yeah, that was brilliant. I could have happily done another hour of that. And I have no doubt that there are some episodes of Dynamite where I could do 3 hours, but 3 hours consistently is like too much. 2.5 hours, I think 2 hours sometimes feels like a little bit too little for AEW, with the number of talent that they have, and especially their struggles with adding time for the women. I think if you added another half hour to Dynamite, gave 15 minutes of that to the women, that would solve a lot of the criticisms that people have of AEW. And I know that we're doing the thing where like 90% of the thing is good and we're focusing on the 10% that is bad. I don't want to come across as being ungrateful, like you said. AEW is really the best it's been since I started watching. That sort of late 2021 run. I think this is the best, certainly, that the TV has been since that period. But striving for perfection, we will always come up short, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. I know that's a very philosophical thing to say, talking about fucking pro wrestling television, but it holds true in life as in this. If we can get more time for the women, if we can sort of balance out the shows a bit more, then it will take AEW into that sort of absolute stratosphere for me. But if they keep doing what they're doing, I'm not going to be upset. What they keep doing is consistently excellent television. I'm just offering what I think is, a little bit of critique going forward.
So in short, AEW in the mud.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for keeping me on message there.
No,
AEW is
I keep you
dying.
grounded. Well, I'm not really grounded because it's mud, but you know what I mean.
But overall, I will say this: this was for me, 3 hours and 50 minutes, well spent. Broadly speaking, Dynamite was really, really good. Collision was also good, and overall, that combines, if we're gonna put like a 10 out of 10, I'll give it like 7.5. I got tired at the end, but as I am getting tired at the end of this podcast, I will not lie to you. It is currently 2:00 in the morning. But yeah, this was a really good. If you're gonna do 4 hours, then this was a very solid swing at a 4-hour block of television.
Right.
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah. No, I do not have anything to add. Like you, I am tired. I enjoyed this event, and I'd say that this, hopefully this Modcast podcast was a good review of everything and helped catch everyone up to speed on stuff that they might have missed. I really enjoyed this, but I don't really need it again next week. Unfortunately, don't have much of a choice. But at least we're getting 3 women's matches, and that's the last thing I have to say about that.
Huzzah! I would not be mad if they added another.
Me neither. Please, Adam, think of the men. Think of the men.
Honestly, I'm fed up of this misandry.
That's right.
But yeah, on that note, we're gonna end it there. We have done 2 hours, broadly speaking, so we are now in an homage to Tony Khan doing an overrun, somehow, of a 4-hour show.
We're gonna keep with the action for as long as it goes, to quote Tony Schiavone.
Yeah. After this, we have an episode of The Big Bang Theory coming down the pipeline.
Oh my god! All right, I'm tapping out. Bye, everybody.
But yes, thank you very much for sticking with us during this. If you did, thank you to my co-host Dory, as always. This one was a bit more of a slog than usual.
I know.
But
we really thought we were going to hit an hour and a half with this one, but we did not. We did, dear viewer, we did not.
We very much did not. But yeah, thank you for joining me. If you liked it, I'm so fucking drained. If you liked it,
you can like and subscribe, and just come say, hey, that was great, good job. You didn't waste 2 hours of your life, and blah blah blah.
Yes, there we go.
Have I mentioned that I'm hungry?
I could murder a bagel right now. But yes, thank you for watching this legitimate AEW Dynamite length podcast.
That's right. With an overrun of everything, so we're serious AEW marks.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you, David Zaslav, for the overrun.
Thank you.
Like and subscribe and share if you think people would like hearing 2 very tired individuals ramble about their favorite wrestling show. But if you don't, we understand. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And see you next time. Goodbye.